Good evening, everyone. Welcome.
Evening, colleagues.
Good evening,
Good
everyone.
evening.
Good evening.
Evening.
I'm just going to give it 5 minutes just to wait for everybody to come in, and we will start with the presentation at 5 minutes past 6.
You are 12 hectares the whole year. Right.
Thank you for joining, everyone. We are very interested to know where you guys are calling from or joining from, so please use the chat. Let us know where you're joining us from. So we have Cape Town, Durban, Potchefstroom, Cape Town, Windhoek, Durban. Welcome, everyone. Potchefstroom, Lesotho. Durban is well represented, it seems. Free State. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining. Pretoria. Okay, it's 5 minutes past. I think we can start. Good evening, everyone. My name is Milan Mokhasho. I'm the Client Liaison Officer at the Stellenbosch Business School. Thank you so much for taking your time and choosing to join this virtual open day. The intention of this is to really for you guys to walk away knowing a bit more about the business school, a bit more about the MBA program, and just understanding more, what happens within the program. So we have a very clear program tonight where we'll be doing the deep dive of the program with our program head, whom I'll be introducing soon. And then we'll have, from an administrative point of view, conversations with you regarding that. And then we'll have an alumni who has done the qualification to talk to us about that experience. And after that, I'll open the floor for question and answer. And before I go into that, and before I hand over, I just want to clear some house rules, please. Please make sure that your mic, is on mute, so that we do not distract the speakers. And these will be recorded, just that everybody knows that this session is recorded. Please use our chat box. We have our staff and team from the business school who are eager to help and help you guys get the information that you need. So whatever question you have, be it about the program or administrative, make sure that you use the chat box and we will answer all those questions. And on the next slide, I would like to introduce our program head who will be running the program. So Tasneem Motala is a senior lecturer and head of the MBA program at the Stellenbosch Business School. She teaches operations management, related modules locally and abroad, drawing on prior industry experience in process control engineering and process improvement. Her research is focused on employee engagement and work design in operational contexts, with an emphasis on bridging academic insight and organizational practice. And over to you, Tasneem.
Thank you so much, Milan, and good evening, everyone. Welcome to this virtual open day. It's lovely to have so many of you online. Especially happy to see so many people from Durban. So I'm a Durban girl, and Durban is still very much home. So lovely to have all of you from the rest of South Africa, and I saw a few from Harare, Lesotho, and our neighboring countries as well. So welcome. As Milan said, my name is Tasneem. I'm the head of the MBA program. I'm going to spend a bit of time just covering some aspects of the school and then the MBA itself, give you all the details that you require. And of course, I will also be online to answer any questions you might have. So let's start firstly with an introduction to the school. For those of you that are not familiar with Stellenbosch Business School, we are a postgraduate school, so we only offer postgraduate degrees and diplomas. But in terms of our vision, we want to be, or we strive to be, a source of value for a better world. So regardless of which program you intend to study through Stellenbosch Business School, whether it is a postgraduate diploma in project management, an MBA, which is what you're interested in, or even a PhD, everything that we do on our programs is aligned with creating value for a better world. Those are the type of leaders that we hope to shape and to grow, people that will contribute positively in a personal and professional sense and make the world a better place for everyone. And specifically with an MBA is a huge time commitment. It's a huge financial investment. So when you pick a school, you should, your values, your personal values should align with that school's values as well. So I think it's important that we start with what are our values at the business school, because this is essentially what you're agreeing to, or you're saying you align with. Definitely excellence. So we have very high quality standards, and we strive for excellence in everything that we do, whether that is teaching, research, management, administration, etc. We hold equity close to our heart, so we commit to restitution, fairness, and inclusivity. In terms of what we do at the school, we are respect is important to us. So respect mutually from a faculty administrative side towards students, and then from students towards admin and faculty as well. Accountability being taking ownership for what we do and being answerable for our actions, and then compassion for all stakeholders, for the broader community that we serve, for society, and of course for our students as well. So if those values align with your own personal values, then we're already off to a very good start. In terms of the school, I'm not going to go very deep into exactly who the faculty are. This is just a small subgroup of our faculty, mainly some of the heads of program and also some people you can expect to encounter on the MBA. So for example, I'll get onto MBA streams in a little bit. But if you're interested in the MBA in healthcare leadership, then Prof. Renata Skuman there on the top row is the stream head for the MBA in healthcare leadership. If you're interested in an MBA in project management, then Dr. Kuni Nell is the head of the stream in project management. You will meet, for example, Sonia Siliers for subjects like managerial accounting and corporate finance. Dr. Natasha Winkler-Titus for leadership development and organizational behavior, Prof. Armand Baum for business in society and leadership as well, Prof. Jaco Volskenk, who was the previous head of the MBA and teaches strategic management and strategic analysis. So these are just some of the people that you can expect to see, each of them experts in their individual subject areas. And then leading different programs within the school. So why should you come to Stellenbosch Business School? I think especially with an MBA, if you want an MBA that is globally recognized, then the first thing you need to look for at any school is triple accreditation. So if you look at the bottom of the slide, there's 3 logos there. That's AACSB, Equus, and Amber. Those are what the accreditation bodies that we refer to when we talk about a school or an MBA being triple accredited. Important to note that only about 1% of business schools and MBAs globally are triple accredited. And Stellenbosch Business School was the first school from an African university to hold all 3 major international accreditations. So we were the first triple accredited MBA. Why is triple accreditation important? The reason for that is because accreditation is a very, very challenging process. These accreditation bodies go into everything within the school. So they look at the quality of your curriculum. They look at the content that you're teaching. They look at how you assess students. They look at the impact that you're making. They look at the quality of your faculty. They look at the quality of your infrastructure. They interview students independently from us, so we have no role in that process. And once they are happy, so it's essentially an audit. Once they are happy with everything, they then give you accreditation. And so any MBA worth its value must be triple accredited. That's the stamp of quality that you're looking for. Also very important to note that accreditation does not last forever. It is a 5-year accreditation. So every 5 years, one of these bodies comes to us. Well, it's rolling, so it's almost every year that we have an accreditation visit. But for example, if AACSB comes next year, then 5 years after that, they'll come again. They look at everything again, and then they decide whether or not we get accreditation. We have always been accredited for 5 years in all of our accreditation visits. So fingers crossed that that continues long into the future. But everything that we do is guided towards making sure that we retain our accreditations because it's so important for us. So just in terms of where we are and where we're based, because I think this is also important, we are based in Cape Town. So yes, we're Stellenbosch Business School. We're part of the Faculty of Economic and Management Sciences of Stellenbosch University, but we are not based in Stellenbosch itself. It is a common misunderstanding or assumption that people make. We've had a few modular students book their accommodation in Stellenbosch instead of in and around the Tyger Valley, Bellville area. But we are, if you're familiar with Cape Town, we are in just down the road from Tiger Valley Mall or the Tiger Valley waterfront, which is more or less equidistant between Cape Town itself and Stellenbosch. So just off the N1, this is our campus. We have many alumni all over the world, a lot of partner universities for incoming exchange groups, and then I've introduced you to some of the faculty as well. But let's get to why you're here. So that was a brief introduction to the school and some of my colleagues. Let's get to the MBA so that you can understand some of the finer details of the program and then ask any questions you might have. So overview, why choose our MBA? What makes our MBA different? Our MBA is designed around this notion of responsible leadership. Okay, so if you want to learn and be a responsible leader, then the Stellenbosch Business School MBA is definitely for you. I'll speak a little bit more about it, but we place so much importance on responsible leadership that it is a 2-year module. So you start with responsible leadership at the beginning of your first year and you end it at the end of your second year. It is a very introspective module, so it requires a lot of introspection, a lot of reflection, but guided by experts, so guided by faculty. I'm pretty sure Tracy Lee, who's our alumnus on the call, is going to speak more about it, because if I ask any alumni, what did you find most valuable about the MBA, the leadership module is always going to come up. By the way, just as an aside, I'm also an alumnus of the school. I was part of the 2012 MBA cohort. And once I did my MBA, a few years after that, I made the decision to leave industry formally. I still do a bit of consulting, but to leave industry and then join academia. So I definitely believe in the brand of Stellenbosch Business School, and I love the school so much that I actually chose to move here. And for me, the responsible leadership module was also just transformative. It completely changed my thinking. It allowed me to reflect on which parts of my leadership style I wasn't happy with, which parts I wanted to develop, where my strengths and drawbacks are. And it really is a transformative journey that continues after you've completed your MBA as well. If you're looking for flexibility and choice, we have designed the MBA with 2 delivery formats, and there's a separate slide on that, so I'll leave that for later. There's 3 different streams that we have that I'll also cover just now. So we have a generalist MBA, an MBA with a specialization in healthcare leadership, and an MBA with a specialization in project management. And then we have been around for a long time. We have excellent partners with global schools. And so the MBA, part of the MBA core curriculum involves an international study module. So that's a compulsory credit-bearing international study module that gives you a week exposure to a school and faculty somewhere else in the world. So let's talk about the 3 MBA pathways. The first thing I want to say is that the first year is identical regardless of which specialization you choose. So whether you're doing a generalist MBA, healthcare leadership, or project management, your first year is exactly the same. The generalist MBA is your traditional MBA targeted at senior managers up to executives across any business sector. That is the biggest class or cohort is the generalist MBA. Healthcare leadership aimed at people within healthcare that want to make positive change, whether that is in the public sector or the private sector. Important to note that the Healthcare Leadership MBA is not targeted only at clinicians. While there are a lot of clinicians in the class and specialists, this year particularly, we have a lot of people from medical insurance. We have a few actuaries. We have quite a few those that are in pharma. We have, and then we're getting a lot of health sciences. So people like occupational therapists, physiotherapists that own their own practice. But as is the case in South Africa and all across the world, our bachelor's degrees train us technically for our career, but they don't give us any business training. So even as an engineer, they teach you how to be an engineer, but they don't tell you how to run a consulting company. You need to learn that somewhere else. And so we have quite a few entrepreneurs, people within health sciences that have their own practices and want to understand how to run their business. And then project management, for those interested in project management, to learn more about project portfolio finance, project portfolio management, and project portfolio management in general. So the difference between the three streams, there's three modules that are different. If you choose a generalist MBA, you would do modules like digital enterprise management, perspectives of African frontiers, and corporate finance. If you choose healthcare leadership, you do not do those three modules. Instead, you do healthcare finance, healthcare systems and policy, and value-based healthcare. And then if you choose project management, you do project portfolio finance, project portfolio management, and project management innovations. And obviously your research assignment, which is the biggest module on the MBA, has to be tailored to your specific specialization. So if you choose project management, you would expect it to do research loosely within project management as well, within the project management field. Excuse me, I am I think recovering from something, so I'm going to cough a little bit. So just excuse me for that. In terms of learning formats, there's two delivery modes that we offer. So I'm going to explain blended first, and then I'll move on to modular. If you opt for the blended delivery format, you will have 3 blocks on campus where you have to be in Cape Town. Those are compulsory attendance, non-negotiable. So the first block is at the beginning of year 1, and that is a 2-week block. After the first 2 weeks, you leave and you then attend classes online 1 weekday night. So once a week from 4 p.m. to 8:15 p.m. Those classes are also compulsory. And that is because at this level, at a postgraduate level, you are not learning from textbooks or from slides. You are learning via discussion within the class. You're learning from each other. There's a lot of breakout activities. There's a lot of case studies that you need to work on. And so those classes are also compulsory. So you are agreeing to sacrifice 1 weekday night for 2 years. And then in your second year, at the beginning of the year, you start with another on-campus block, which is a week and a half. You then leave, you once again attend your classes online. And at the end of year 2, there is an elective block. So usually in October of year 2, there's a 1-week elective block. So the blended format, over the 2 years, you basically have to be on campus for 4.5 weeks, okay, over the 2-year period. And besides that, you can attend classes online, all synchronous classes. The advantages of blended learning is that, of course, you can learn from anywhere in the world. It's quite a popular option, especially for people from, we have quite a few alumni from Stellenbosch University that have done their undergrads at Stellenbosch. They've now immigrated, so they're living in the UK or they're living in Canada or wherever else, but they still want to study at Stellenbosch. So they just have to come here for, like I said, 4.5 weeks, and otherwise they attend online. And if your company, your organization is not so keen on study leave, then it also is an option available to you. I'm going to switch quickly to the modular format. So the modular is a more traditional block release format. I was a modular student, so I am, I think, a little bit biased towards the modular format. But the modular format is on-campus blocks spaced out over the year. So in year 1, you have 5 on-campus blocks. They run from Monday to Saturday, 8 to 6 p.m. And they're spaced kind of every six weeks or so. And then in year 2, you have 4 on-campus blocks. So the first 3 are in the first half of the year. We actually have our 2025 group on campus this week now for their final block, their final lecture block, core module block. And then you have your elective block together with a blended group at the end of year 2 in October. These are face-to-face. It's more your traditional learning environment. It gives you the opportunity for peer networking, really forming very strong ties with your cohort. And the difference between the two, the best way to explain it, or a good analogy, is the modular is a series of sprints. So it's really intense for that week. You will be exhausted by the Saturday, but you will have loved the interaction with your friends and your peers. But then you leave. You, of course, have assignments and assessments due between the modular blocks, but you don't have lectures. And then you come back in 5 to 6 weeks for your next block. With blended learning, it is not a sprint, but a marathon. So you have this constant, every week, 4 hours of lectures, and you learn in that format. So it's not necessarily that one is better than the other. I think they are designed for different learning styles and different lifestyles as well. If you are keen on the blended format, just note that blended has a hard cap on the numbers, and as soon as that hard cap is reached, we close the blended program. So if you know you definitely want to do the blended program, then you need to apply sooner rather than later. Eleanor is going to speak to you a little bit more about the SHL, but there's sometimes indications in your entrance assessments that tell us that there's still some things you need to learn in terms of interacting with peers, or that you may benefit more from a modular class. And so it doesn't mean that if you apply for the blended class that you would definitely be admitted to the blended class. Sometimes we might offer you a place only in the modular program, because we can see from your profile that you are going to benefit from a modular program. And then, of course, the decision whether or not to take up that place is always going to be up to you. Okay, so what does, excuse me, what does the program look like? This is at an NQF level 9, for those of you familiar with NQF levels. The program consists of 213 credits. A credit, according to SAQA, translates into 10 notional hours. So essentially what this means is that you are signing up for 2,130 hours of work over 2 years. I know that sounds like a lot. And yes, it is a lot. I don't want you to be under any illusions that it's not. We had a student track every single hour he spent on the MBA, and he got to 2,122. So it is a fairly good reflection of the amount of time you will need, but it is worth it. And that includes everything. So that includes lecture sessions, which is around 520 hours. It includes assessments, assignments, reading, etc. It includes everything, but you will have to figure out how to fit 2,130 hours into your current life. It's a 2-year program. There's 18 core modules, 2 electives, and we only offer the MBA in English. So that's the language of instruction at the instruction and communication at the business school is English only. I'm not going to go through all of the modules. You can see them in front of you. Like I've said, leadership development continues over 2 years. In the first year, it's more foundation modules, so things like strategic marketing and branding, operations, managerial statistics, economics, etc., so that we make sure everyone has the same business foundation. And then in year 2, you go into your specialization, stream-specific modules, the capstone module in strategic management, the international study module, which is the 1-week module somewhere overseas, and then your research methodology and assignments. So research method, out of the 213 credits, research is 45 credits, so it's 450 hours of the 213 hours. And then we have electives. Electives change every year, but we always get a really nice set of faculty from overseas that present electives on a very niche topic. So anything from AI in business to cryptocurrency to managing supply chains and volatility to emotional intelligence and everything in between. Okay, so what makes our MBA unique? I think I've already spoken to some of this, but we are triple accredited. And like I said, about 1% of schools around the world are triple accredited. We offer it in 2 formats, that's blended and modular. We have the 3 streams available to you, and it consists of 20 modules in total. I know you would like to know what the admission requirements are, so let's just glance over them quickly. In terms of academic qualifications, you have to have either a 4-year bachelor's degree. So if you're sitting with a BEng, which is 4 years, or a medical degree, that's also fine. That's an NQF 8. Or you can have a bachelor's degree plus honors. So if you've done your BCom and then you've done a BCom honors, that's also fine. Or if you have a 3-year bachelor's degree and you've done a PG dip, because a PG dip is also at NQF 8, that will also give you entry into the MBA. If right now you only have a bachelor's degree, you will need to do either an honors degree or a PG dip. I would, of course, suggest the PG dip route, and we have a PG dip in business management and administration that gives you a really solid foundation for the MBA. Besides that, you need at least 3 years of relevant work experience, preferably at a managerial level. That's full-time work experience, so not internships or anything like that. We need full-time work experience. You need to do an entrance assessment, and we accept the SHL or the GMAT, but Eleanor is going to speak to you a little bit more about the SHL. 2 motivational essays. I don't want to actually use we call it an essay, but 300 to 500 words is not really an essay. It is something that allows us to get a little bit more, allows me doing the admissions to get a little bit more insight into who you are and why you want to do this. Please, if you are applying, please write it yourself. It is very, very, very obvious if you have some type of LLM or AI write it for you. It really is not going to do you any favors if you submit something that has not been generated by yourself, because it's fairly easy to spot. We need a comprehensive CV and then your application and assessment fee as well. For those of you that don't have a 4-year bachelor's degree or the honors or PG dip, there is a recognition of prior learning route, so an RPL route that has slightly different requirements or criteria. You can find that on the website. So there we need at least, I think it's 8 or 10 years of managerial experience. We also require 2 very comprehensive referee reports, and then there's a compulsory interview that you would have with me and 1 other faculty. What's also important to remember is that according to the DHET rules and CHE rules, we're only allowed to admit 10% of our cohort as RPL. So it is a very, basically there's more demand for RPL than seats we actually have. Which means that you're not guaranteed a place on the RPL route, even though you might be really excellent leader. You've done great things within your business environment. It simply is a matter of space where we can't accommodate all RPL applicants. Okay, so with that being said, applications have already opened. I have already admitted some people. So applications opened on the 1st of April. Applications close on the 31st of October. That's for all normal route MBA students or MBA applicants. And RPL closes 1 month before that, so 30th of September. And that is because we need time to go through the interview process. And there's a couple of other steps we have to do for RPL applications. So they close a month earlier on the 30th of September. So just to close off, I mean, I've covered all of this already, but just to reiterate, we are why Stellenbosch Business School. We're Triple Crown accredited. We're very proud of being an African school with a global perspective. So our faculty they all come from industry. They've done a lot of work within South Africa and on the African continent. So they bring that experience into the classroom. And if you are interested in responsible leadership and it's something that you prioritize, then Stellenbosch Business School is definitely the place for you. So I hope I've given you an overview of the program. I'm going to hand back to Milan now, but I will be on the call and look forward to answering some of your questions.
Thank you so much for that, Tasneem. It was very informative. I hope everyone will be thinking about the questions they'll be asking later. And just next, we have Eleanor Brink, who will just talk to us more from a career and an SHL assessment process point of view. Eleanor, over to you.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you, Milan. You disabled me to share my presentation. So I'm not sure if you can please assist me so that I can just share with everybody the presentation.
Sure. Andrea will help us with that quickly. Let me see.
Please, Andrea, sorry about that.
No worries.
There we go.
Sure.
Thank you so much. Okay, good evening, everyone. So like Milan explained, my name is Eleanor. I am the Senior Career Officer at Stellenbosch Business School. Maybe just quickly what I do and what is the Career Leadership Hub. So as part of Stellenbosch Business School, we offer a service to our students. And this is basically where we assist our students in building future fit responsible leaders, and also assist our students to connect through our ecosystems with alumni, networking with other companies. Throughout the year, I organize events that I give our students the opportunity to be participating workshops. At the end of the year, we have a big Career Insights Day where we give our students the opportunity to get feedback from industry partners. Some of our alumni come and speak at the event. And this is just an opportunity to give our MBA students or all of our students an opportunity to engage, to build networks. And for us at the end of the day to also, help build insight into how you lead, work, and make career decisions. And then obviously, it's important for us to help you strengthen employability in this complex world. So just quickly what we offer, we do have the career services. So that is personalized career coaching and advisory. We assist with CV and resume building. I introduce those who are interested in mock interviews, assist a bit with that process if that's something that you're interested in. Like I've mentioned, webinars that's available throughout the year. Also mentorship and networking. That is alumni-led mentorship programs where we get students and alumni at networking events, which I think is amazing for our students, going forward. That's always a good place to meet partners and to assist you. And that can also become mentors to assist you with this journey. It is definitely a journey. We also have skills development opportunities, and then there's also the research and innovation that is important for us. So that is in a nutshell what we offer from the Career Leadership Hub. So I am the Senior Career Officer for the business school. What is more important for my role within your process in applying at Stellenbosch Business School and possibly, maybe venturing on the MBA program is, like you saw, one of the requirements is for you to write an SHL assessment or do the GMAT. I saw there was a question about the GMAT. I don't have all the information about the GMAT, but what I can just mention here is some other universities, you can use the GMAT, or they use the GMAT as the assessment. You can use it as part of your application at Stellenbosch Business School. Then you will just indicate that you completed the GMAT and you will not opt to do the SHL assessment. But a bit about the SHL. So the SHL is a world-leading provider of psychometric assessments and talent solutions. It was founded in 1977. And what we really value about the SHL is that it is scientifically validated, and it's used by over 10,000 organizations globally. And that is important for us because when we do look at the psychometric assessments that we use, it is important for those assessments to be scientifically validated You will see it's developed by leading psychologists and continuously validated for reliability and fairness. It's globally recognized. It's used by top universities throughout the world and Fortune 500 companies. And then what is also important, the objective and fair, it provides a standardized way to assess all applicants consistently. So, and that helps us a bit, by removing the subjectivity from the selection process. We do get the question often, why do we opt for SHL? And this is basically, what stands out for us, and definitely that we can measure it scientifically. It is valid, it's reliable, and this is the tool that we use. What is important, what we will be testing, so you will firstly do the ability test. Well, it's not in a specific order, but so there will be the ability assessments. We look at the inductive reasoning, deductive reasoning, and numerical reasoning. So the inductive reasoning is more where we assess the abstract or your pattern thinking. It is the relationship and logic in abstract information, how you can identify the patterns. You will be presented with a series of shapes and diagrams and also determine the underlying rule or predict what is the next outcome. Then the deductive reasoning assess your capacity to draw logical conclusions from given information. So it's more the logical or critical thinking abilities, where you will read scenarios, you will get all the information, and out of that you need to draw conclusions and give answers and follow some stated facts. So this is what we assess in the deductive reasoning. And then lastly, it's the numerical reasoning, and it tests your ability to interpret, analyze, and draw conclusions from numerical data. Important for the numerical reasoning, you can use a calculator. For the inductive and deductive reasoning, there is not extra sources that you can use, but for the numerical reasoning, you are allowed to use a calculator when you do that assessment. Then the fourth assessment is the OPQ, or the Occupational Personality Questionnaire. This is a questionnaire that measures 32 dimensions of your personality relevant to your workplace. This is a self-answer questionnaire. So it is how you perceive yourself in the workplace. What is your preferred behavior style? What motivates you? And how you typically approach work and people, probably how you operate under pressure, etc. So if you just look there, high end, typically we will assess your relationships with people, what is your thinking style in the working environment, and then feeling and emotions. How can you handle pressures? What is your resilience, emotional control, confidence, etc. So that is the 4 assessments that you will be doing. Maybe just to explain the process. So you will start by submitting your application. So you will complete the application process that's on the portal. You will then have to pay the application fee and the SHL fee. As soon as you have paid the SHL fee, I will get a notification, and then I will create a link on the SHL website, and you will get a link or an email with a link where you can log onto SHL directly in your inbox. The email that I use will be the similar email that you use to apply for the program. So if you, for example, use a Gmail or Yahoo email, but it's not your primary email, please make sure that you look at those email addresses to see the link come through. Then you complete the assessment. As soon as the assessment is completed, I get a notification. I download the reports, and then I submit the reports to Tasneem to look at your application. I think what is very important to mention that it is a holistic review. I will talk a bit about that more when we look at the SHL report. So we don't just look at the SHL report when we look at your applications. This is very, very important. Once you received your SHL link, you have 7 calendar days to complete the assessment. Please note that extensions are not granted. In that 7 days, that is the time that you have to do the assessments. Also note that the assessments doesn't have to be done all on one day. You can, example, for today, decide you're going to do the deductive reasoning and maybe the numerical reasoning, and tomorrow come back and you do the OPQ, and maybe on the 4th day you decide to do the inductive reasoning. It doesn't have to be done in one sit, so make sure that you are in a place where you are comfortable. It's normally good to be well rested, so I advise candidates to see if they can't do it maybe in the morning, especially the numerical reasoning assessment to when you are well rested or awake and alerted. So there are practice assessments. There are free practice assessments available. So once you go onto the link, and you will see in the email that gets sent from the SHL platform, there is also a link that shows the practice test that you can do. Please do the practice assessments before you attempt the actual assessment. And the reason why I'm saying this is it is an interactive assessment that you do. So the deductive, inductive, and numerical reasoning, you will have to know which buttons to press to change the color of the blocks, or to shift on the screen. So make sure you are comfortable with how it works on your laptop or the device that you are using in the practice assessments before you attempt the actual assessment. I do get a lot of candidates I've received in the past where they, when we do a feedback session, they would say, they weren't that comfortable because when the assessment started, they didn't know how to navigate the assessment. And note that there are also time constraints on the assessment. So, for example, for the numerical reasoning, you might have 18 minutes to complete the assessment. So you don't have the time to figure out how to navigate on your device, how the assessment works. So please do the practice assessments up front. Familiarize yourself with the questions. Like I've mentioned, you can use a calculator for the numerical reasoning. And also the practice test is accessible through the SHL invitation email that I've sent. Allow yourself enough time. Please don't wait till a day before your time is due to do the assessments. Like I've said, you don't have to do it all in one sit, but make sure that you give yourself enough time so that you are not under pressure. If you are under pressure, it might have an impact on your assessment and the results of your assessment. Make sure you've got a stable internet connection before you start. And do not, it says do not complete unless you can complete it fully in one sitting. You are allowed to not do it in one sitting, but if you want to, you can do it in one sitting. Then also avoid starting, again, it's just what I mentioned, is maybe not to do it late at night or when you are tired, especially with the abilities assessments. It is better to do it when you are wide awake and that you can really figure out how to navigate through the assessments. Very important to know the SHL assessment is only one component of the comprehensive holistic review process. Your academic background, professional experience, motivation, and references are all considered. The SHL results alone do not determine the outcome of your application. Like I've mentioned, it's not the sole decision maker. However, when you do receive feedback, the decision is final. Say, for instance, you've completed the SHL assessment, and whether you were successful or unsuccessful with the application, you are allowed to ask for feedback from me. So what will happen is you will make contact with me, and we will, I normally need an hour to give you feedback on your results of the SHL. And then we go through it in a bit more depth. We look at your ability assessment. We look at your occupational personality and what came out of that. So that is something maybe just to keep in mind, whether you're successful or unsuccessful. We do offer a feedback session for free after you have received your results. I would not necessarily ask for a feedback session once you get feedback from your application. You know, maybe just give some time for you to get feedback, whether you were successful for the MBA program or not. And then after that, you are welcome to contact me. Normally, if you do get accepted on the MBA program within the first week of orientation, we also do a broader overview of the feedback, how to read your reports. And then you also, within your time at Stellenbosch Business School, you do have an opportunity again to have a feedback session with me. So that is just something to keep in mind. So just quickly a summary to keep in mind: apply through the portal, pay both your application fee and your SHL fee. Look out for the SHL invitation link. It will be sent directly to your email address. Maybe something that I can also here with the fee. You might want to apply now, already pay the application fee, and decide to pay the SHL fee a bit later. I will only send the SHL link once I receive notification from finance that we have received the SHL fee. So you can apply now, pay the application fee, not pay the SHL fee, and you will not receive an SHL link till I get the notification that you have paid your fee. Again, like I said, it will be sent directly to your email address from the SHL portal. So the link will not come from me. It will come from the SHL portal, and make sure that you look at the email address that you used to apply with. It will be sent to that email address. Then please complete the free SHL practice test before you start the real assessment. Find a quiet space with a stable internet connection. Complete all 4 assessments within the 7-day window. That is very important. Be honest in your occupational personality questionnaire. There's no right or wrong answers in the occupational personality questionnaire. So don't try to figure out what you think we would prefer to be an answer to be a successful MBA candidate. Be honest and answer it in such a way as well. Then await for your application feedback. The SHL assessment is one part of a holistic review. And remember, once you receive your application outcome, it is the final decision is final. And then maybe what I can also just add here, remember that you can ask for a feedback session that's for free with me once you received your outcome of the application, whether it's successful or unsuccessful. I will still give you that feedback. And then I wish you the very best with your MBA application, and I hope to see some of you on campus next year. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for that, Eleanor. Thank you for everyone also who are engaging with us in the chat. We like to see it, and please feel free to ask some more questions regarding what Eleanor just discussed. We are very delighted also tonight to have an alumni that we're very proud of as a business school, Tracy. Tracy Lee is an experienced marketing executive with more than 18 years of international experience driving growth, marketing transformation across industries. She's passionate about building strategies that create sustainable business growth and deliver measurable impact. Tracy, over to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you guys for having me. I'm going to spend the next 10 to 15 minutes just talking a little bit about my MBA experience at Stellenbosch Business School. I've put my my LinkedIn into the chat, so if I see some questions that's directed to an alumnus, I'll answer them as I go. Otherwise, feel free to connect with me and I'll chat to you afterwards, no problem. So first I want to just talk about why I chose Stellenbosch, what my journey at the business school was like and what it's been since then. So for me, I was looking at this very practically. I had done my undergrad and honors at different universities, and I was looking for the MBA that was going to offer the most value to me post my studies. The number one thing that was, I suppose, the most important thing to me is what Tasneem spoke about earlier was triple accreditation. I think a lot of people that go through this journey of trying to decide which MBA to do, what's going to be valuable, don't really know that is probably it's the kicker. So if you have an MBA that isn't triple accredited, it doesn't hold as much worth as the Triple Crown. So that was my number one criteria. Number two, there are multiple rankings around the world about MBA rankings, but Stellenbosch at the time was the number one MBA in South Africa. I believe it's still on a few of the rankings, still number one, so that's amazing. Well done, Stellenbosch. And the third reason I chose Stellenbosch was because of the blended program. It becomes really a question of practicality, and I think a few people have mentioned this in the chat already. It becomes difficult to, if you're working full time, to take, I suppose, 8 weeks of leave. Sometimes, your employer is not necessarily sponsoring your MBA, and you have to take unpaid leave, and that can be quite tricky. So I wanted to do something that I could manage while I was working. I self-funded, and I wanted to get the most out of an MBA program, meet the people in real life, but also not take all of my leave and have nothing left to kind of recover after a year of work in MBA. So for me, I chose it because it was the only program in South Africa. I'm not sure if it's still the case, but I think it is, where you can do 2 weeks in person and the rest online for the year, barring your international program. So I think, reflecting, I finished my MBA at the end of 2023, and I think I absolutely made the best choice. My journey was so fantastic with the business school. I had many opportunities while I was there. It was amazing to meet so many different people from so many different countries. And I was chatting to Henry about this yesterday. The beauty of the blended program is that so many people from so many different countries also choose this MBA. So you really do get a very, very broad view and perspective on all of the topics that you discuss in the different subjects, or the different modules, which I really enjoyed, and I think it gave me such a rich sense of perspective and experience. I don't know if you get that in the other cohorts. I mean, I don't know if so many people can travel to participate in a kind of full-time MBA like that, or in a modular MBA. So I really enjoyed that part of it. I also had I suppose it was the great privilege of being elected as a class leader. And as a result of that, I had so much more face time with the various divisions within the business school, the careers office, the alumni office. I was part of the consulting club. So there are so many other features and benefits of being part of the business school that a lot of people don't really know and they don't take advantage of, but they're there and absolutely there to be used and taken advantage of if you're a student of the school. The third thing that I really enjoyed was not only the international module it's a compulsory module, but there are also other opportunities to do international study through Stellenbosch Business School. They have, I don't actually know you can maybe put it in the chat. I don't know what the name of it is, but they're exchange programs that you can apply if you do well and you get over a certain percentage. You can apply as one of X number of places to do an international exchange. So I had the pleasure of going to Nantes, to Audencia Business School, to do international economics module there as one of my electives, and I really enjoyed that. It also allowed me to kind of create really deep connections with some of my student colleagues and friends that traveled with me, and it's an experience I'll never forget. So I think that was I mean, I could probably talk about my experience in the MBA for hours, actually. I think from a intellectual rigor point of view, the modules are amazing. They really are. For me, something that a lot of people don't know is that Stellenbosch Business School is one of the only business schools that have subjects that are, they're quite specialized, like statistics, corporate finance at that level. And I felt it was quite important to be able to challenge myself and really learn as much the difficult subjects as well as the kind of the more kind of emotional leadership subjects. Like I wanted to make sure that I got the most out of this, out of the experience, and I'm glad that I did. How my life has changed since doing the MBA. So, there's a lot of debate around MBAs. If you've never done an MBA, what does it really do? Is it worth it? Is it a magic wand? These are all the discussions that everybody before they do an MBA has, and the thoughts that they have. So for me, I don't necessarily think it's a magic wand, but it's very close to it. So I applied for a different job. So there was a question about pivoting, career pivoting. I was still within the same kind of function. So I'm a marketer through and through. I love marketing. But I moved to a different company in a totally different sector. It was halfway through my second year of the MBA, and I moved from being kind of a senior manager to an exco member in my new role and a head of function. It was a significantly different level of responsibility, and there was another question about salary, a significant jump in salary as well. And I know that a large part of why I was hired in that role was because I was about to finish the MBA. I have had many discussions with my current employer about that, and I know that that is true. I think that once you have an MBA, you understand why it's so important to have an MBA. So. And maybe this is a bit of a broad statement, but now that I have one, I think that I actually think it's a necessity. If you're working at an executive or C-level, I think it's so important that you have a rich and deep understanding of all the different functions of that business. And you can make much more safe and qualified decisions based on the kind of learnings that you get from your MBA. And of course, I'm not discounting or devaluing anybody who doesn't, but I think it certainly makes it easier. And the fast track to the C-suite, it definitely makes a big difference. If you have to wave that magic wand a little bit, so you have to work it. And there's a big joke about how do you know somebody's got an MBA because they tell you. Yes, that's part of it. You do have to make people aware that you do have these skills and the knowledge and experience. But I do think that when you're in the position, it makes everything so much clearer and so much easier to navigate. Since then, so it's been I think just over 2 years, 25, just over 2 years, and it took me 2 years to be promoted to a C level. So I'm the chief marketing officer now of a fintech based in Cape Town. And I attribute so much of that to not only the learnings, but the confidence that I gained from my MBA. So, that was, I would say it's absolutely recommended. I wouldn't have changed anything about my decision. So thank you very much for listening to me. That's basically it. But I've put my LinkedIn in the chat. If you have any questions, please let me know. Are there any questions that I should answer now? No, Milan?
Not yet. I'm going to open the floor for the Q&A. Thank you so much for that, Tracy. Maybe I can start the first question.
Sure.
Everyone, please make sure that you raise your hand, and then I'll just give you an opportunity to ask a question from a program or from an alumni or from an assessment point of view. My question would be, what needed to adjust for you to be able to do these 2,000 plus hours? Because, there's work, there's the pivoting, and there's also what the ambitions you have. What was something that would be it comfortable or uncomfortable? What adjustments did you need to make?
So I'm not going to lie. An MBA is a lot of work. Like you need to be ready. You got to be ready to give up your social life for a bit. So I think I didn't give up my social life too much. I kind of try to work around it. But I think and for me, it's just a personal thing, but was seriously important is that I exercised, because without regular exercise, I was able to kind of keep up my energy levels. And I think that you can't, it would be much more difficult to do the program if you don't have the energy behind it. But I think mentally preparing yourself and blocking out kind of time in your week and, Saturdays or Sundays, this is going to be your whole day because you have commitments every week. And I mean, I don't know what the schedule looks like now, but all of our tests were on Mondays, Monday after work. So, we were working the weekends and maybe, having socializing on a Saturday evening, and that was kind of it. But if you're okay with that and you're willing to put the time in, it's incredibly rewarding. It's more rewarding than going to a bar on a Sunday, I promise you.
Thank you so much for that, Tracy. Is there anyone with a question? If you're struggling to raise your hand, you can just maybe start speaking. Please don't be shy.
Yuvan has a question. Now that knowing what I know now, you happy that I chose the blended option? Would you go back and choose modular? So it's a good question. And so I wouldn't change my mind. I was very happy with the choice to have done blended. What I will say is that there is a tremendous benefit in that kind of face-to-face connection with your peers. So with a blended cohort, you've got 2 very intense weeks of meeting everybody and kind of trying to socialize with them. But you're in your syndicate groups and you're trying to like write press releases and all sorts of crazy things. So you don't really get too much time to connect with everybody else unless you're asking questions or active in class. And I think when we have the 4 hours, those kind of 4.5-hour lectures, there are people that talk online, but there are a lot of people that are very quiet. And you don't really get to extract that human benefit out of them unless you say, you meet on campus or you make a plan to go and have burgers at Copper Club, on once every quarter or something like that. So I think the benefit of modular is if that is something that's important to you in building your network, if you're not a very vocal person, then perhaps consider the modular option. For me, I wanted the freedom and flexibility of working and doing my thing. And I'm quite loud and proud. I mean, I talk a lot and I'm always vocal on in the classes. So I still have a lot of connections from my MBA, and we still have a WhatsApp group, and we still, send each other jobs that we think they would suit each other. So yeah, it wasn't so bad for me, but I think a lot of people might have missed out on that.
Thank you. There's a question from Werner that says, what electives are available and do they change every year, or should we rather look at the different elective categories?
I think Tasneem answered that one. I don't
No,
actually
I've just
know.
answered that one. Yeah.
Oh, is it answered? Thank you so much. Anyone with a question?
Just on the electives though, what I did the general MBA. I'm not in healthcare. But what I tried to do was gear everything towards my specialization in, I suppose in my profession. So I did my thesis or my dissertation on something that was marketing related. And I did my electives, all my electives I kind of chose around marketing. So I kind of did, in my mind, a kind of semi-specialization. And you can do that. There is a little bit of flexibility around that.
Yeah. I'm very interested to know how you mentioned about networking and creating like sort of a community. In what ways did you guys communicate? Was it predominantly WhatsApp or Teams?
Yeah, WhatsApp. So all the groups are different. So my experience was in my first year, we had one syndicate group, and then I think some groups chose to stay with their syndicate groups and others chose to switch. And sometimes it was good and sometimes it was bad. But at the end of the day, this really mimics real life. When you're in a real working environment, you have to work with people that you like or you don't like, or their style suits you or it doesn't. So it was, I mean, it really is this kind of real world experience that you have to navigate. And it's all different. So some groups they were very close. I can still see them on Instagram and they're traveling around the world together. And it's an amazing experience for them. And other groups weren't close at all. Some met once a week online and had like a kind of just a general kind of kumbaya session. And others would just kind of WhatsApp around assignments. So it really is what you make of it.
Sure. Tasneem, there's a question here for you. Is the program heavily focused on group work, or is it a balance of group work and individual contributions?
Sure. So at the beginning of the MBA, you are put into a syndicate team, and every single module has a teamwork element that contributes to your final grade. So there's a balance of group work, and individual contributions. What is important is that you have to pass every module first as an individual before the team component is added. And that's because we obviously do not want a weak student to be carried through the degree by a strong team. That's not going to be fair. So you first have to pass as an individual. And I think just going back to what Tracy Leah said, some teams, well, firstly, the reason for having syndicate work is because you're trying to simulate that real life working environment where you put into a team with people that you may not necessarily get along with immediately. I mean, in an MBA class, there are very strong personalities. Everyone has a strong personality. Everyone is pretty much at the top of their game. And you have to learn how to constantly shift between being a leader and a follower. So you have to be comfortable with, moving into the leadership role, taking on the leadership role for one specific team assignment, but then stepping back and being a follower in the next one. And it gives you a safe environment to practice that. One of the main things that it gives you to practice is conflict resolution. So what we find is a lot of people coming into the MBA, but I mean, if you just look at people you work with in general, people are not good with conflict resolution. And when conflicts are not resolved, they tend to fester like a wound. They tend to fester. They get really ugly. People stop, people stop speaking to each other. They dissociate from the team, etc. Whereas on the MBA, you are absolutely forced to deal with the conflict when it happens. Storming, as you'll learn, is a very natural part of teamwork. You have to get there before you can get to performing. And so we encourage that storming to happen as soon as possible, get it out there in the open. Everyone creates, once the team storms, you create an environment of trust and vulnerability, and then you can move on to being a high-performing team. So I don't know, Tracy, if you want to add anything to that.
Yeah, that's Tuckman's model that I learned in my MBA.
Absolutely.
I don't have anything to add, but that's absolutely right. I'll answer one more of the questions in the chat, which was from Tsepo. And it also references what Tasneem said right at the beginning. Has the program sharpened my soft skills? So the entire program is built around responsible leadership. And there is a lot of work that I think for a lot of people, especially people that have chosen their previous kind of careers are in things that were more kind of mechanical or mathematical, like engineering. And there were loads of engineers, loads of computer scientists that were in my year. And they benefited, they proclaim this themselves hugely from the modules like leadership. And you do it for 2 years and you actually start to deeply understand the psychology, and you're given models to work with. So, we kind of work in our normal lives and work, we kind of navigate this based on gut feeling. And we can intuit whether we think people work hard or they don't, or whether we like them or we don't. But you can actually break this down with models and self-reflect and introject it, or I suppose take it on yourself to see where you stand and where you can grow. And you do the whole thing yourself and you figure it out. So I definitely think from a soft skills or just a people engagement and management perspective, it made a big difference. And then should I do one more question? I'll do one more from Van.
Yes, there's one more question regarding the networking and things that alumni do to stay connected.
Yeah, so there is so I'll tell you a little bit about what I did. So I was part of the consulting club. I think the consulting club is actually now part of the module. I'm not sure. I think it was created as an elective this year. I joined it in my second year because it is a little bit of extra work. So you kind of have to be willing to spend your Saturdays doing consulting work, but also very super beneficial because you can kind of put your MBA learnings in action. You can see it in action. And then I stayed on as an alumnus with a consulting club for 2 years after finishing my MBA. So I was able to connect with the the existing and alums that were part of the club. And there also is an alumni association, and they'll just send you an invite to come for dinner maybe once a quarter. So if you enjoy these kind of formalized ways of connecting, the university will do that for you. You don't even have to. You don't do any work. You just kind of register and rock up, and it's great. And then you can connect with people that have. Some people have finished 10 years ago and they still attend these dinners or wisdom wine weekend kind of drinks things. Also, I think going into your MBA, I didn't do this and I didn't really figure it out until it was too late, is if you want to consciously make those connections and consciously keep those kind of friendships going post MBA, you actually have to work at it while you're doing it. Like, make time to go and have coffee and just chat with these people, even whether they're part of your syndicate group, whether they're part of some other kind of working group. I would consciously go and try and build the friendships as much as you can, because it makes a big difference. So we're all still kind of connected and friendly, but only a few people have connections outside of the WhatsApp group. Cool. Thank you all very much. If you have any other questions about my experience, find me on LinkedIn.
Thank you so much. We appreciate that.
Thank you,
I'm
guys.
just going to check if there's any further questions. I
There's
think
one more question about tests and assignments. Can I take that?
Yes, please.
Sure. So all the modules, excuse me, are assessed via tests and assignments. So we don't have a formal blockout exam week or anything like that. The tests are on a Monday evening, excuse me, for 2 or 3 hours. But most of the modules are based on assignments. It's at the moment mostly quantitative modules, so number-based modules that are assessed via assessment.
Thank you for that. It seems that the session was so informative that all the answers were answered, all the questions were answered. Everyone, I'll be adding my email address so long also if you have further questions. But if there's any question, there's a last round of question, please, if anyone has a question.
I see this. Sorry, I'm really dying here.
No
so I'm going to
problem.
see how long I can speak for. But Verna, your question on the Launch Lab, the MBA itself doesn't necessarily work with the Launch Lab in a formal module sense. But for example, last year, the Launch Lab came to us and asked us for alumni that could be invited to a boot camp that they held with one of the Ivy League universities, and that was open to our alumni, and some of them attended. We have strong links with the Launch Lab and my colleagues there. So it depends, what we're working with. If, for example, for a strategic management, you want to focus your assignment on something that the Launch Lab is doing, or you want to work with them, then we have had students in the past that have worked specifically with the Launch Lab. So it's not formalized on the MBA, if that answers your question, but we have the strong connections there if you want to work with them.
Thank you so much. Everyone, I would like to appreciate you for joining us. Tasneem, thank you so much for the effort and for presenting, and we hope you get well soon. Tracy Lee, thank you so much for your informative insight. We really appreciate it. And Eleanor, thank you so much. And to the team who's joined and assisting, thank you so much. And I'm really hoping to see all these applications coming, and make sure that you email us, and you're also welcome to call us. Have a beautiful evening, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Look forward to receiving your applications.
Thank you.